Hey guys, what's up? It's AB Trade. So this is what we do, our weekly Sunday Stock Talk to give an edge into the trading week coming up, where we talk about the earnings releases, the news reports coming out, and everything you need to know, including charts of the top stocks that we're looking at for this upcoming week. Now this is going to be our quote-unquote Sunday Stock Talk, when again I'm going to do one tomorrow also because the stock market is closed tomorrow. However, let's just do our weekly thing and let's look at the stocks to come. So SPY, we're definitely really running up after we jump past this 260 level. Our next resistance, or the next one we can see in sight, is from this top here back in April of 2018. We can see that we consolidated around this point and around this point multiple times, so it's going to play a resistance into this area. So see some resistance in SPY as we start to push into the 270 level, 273. So this is what we're looking for SPY. We're looking for it to come up, test this level, pull back down to around 260 and bounce, or we're looking for it to push straight through this level and to push up and retest 280. But again, when we're uptrending, it's natural to see push up, consolidation, or a pullback, and then a push up higher. So it won't surprise us if we see SPY push up, have a nice little pullback, and go higher, because that's what an uptrend is. So that's what we're covering for SPY. Now for SPY, there's no news, no major news coming out this week. For the USD, just some few minor things like the claims for unemployment and just the oil reports, and just a few things that are minor, but those won't highly affect SPY, so you don't have to worry about that. However, talking about earnings releases, this is what we're looking at for this week. So we have nothing too important here. If you can see here, we have IBM after close, just going through. I know that banks are going to be big, so Capital One, First Bank here will be P&G is big, so they're going to have a lot of options on that. We're going to look like we have Comcast, watch out for that. We'll have all these United Rentals, American Airlines Group, Intel will be huge, Southwestern, Discover. It looks like we're going through on these. So guys, remember, we're going to keep these in play, and these will be mentioned as I create the pre-market notes every morning in the free group chat that is linked in the description. Alright, so going on, I'm going to pull up stocks that y'all mentioned in the group chat. First one mentioned was BA or Boeing. So if we look at it here, we're pushing up into this resistance level at 365. We formed this doji here, this indecision candle, at the 365 level, where we have some previous resistance at, a ceiling at. So it won't surprise me if we see a pullback down to this next support of about 350. So see a nice pullback on BA down here to 350 before we return back up, or we're going to break above this 370 level, 365 level, and push higher. So those are the two things that we are looking at on BA. The next stock mentioned in the group is MSFT, Microsoft. Same thing, we pushed hard and then we formed this doji here going up on a resistance. We may be forming a downtrend here because we still are creating these lower highs here. So it won't surprise me if we start to see a pullback here. And again, SPY is overextended at the moment. Like in an uptrend, we're due for a push up and a pullback. And with all these stocks having these indecision here, it won't be far-fetched to see a quick pullback on these stocks and see SPY pull back to bounce up higher. Looks like we also mentioned NVIDIA. NVIDIA is something that I like to trade here. We gapped below. It looks like we tried to fill somewhat of the gap here, but we still have room to fill in this gap. There's still room to the upside on BA here. We got above this previous high here, so we can definitely start to push higher and test this next resistance at around 174, 175 area. So just watch out for that. I don't think there's anything stopping it on the upside. Unless SPY starts to fall more, but NVIDIA should be good all the way up to 170, unless we see a pullback down to the support of 130, 140. Let's see, next stock mentioned was BAC, Bank of America. We had this huge gap up on news, and then we just continued to run. Now it looks like we're starting to push into some resistance here. It was previous support, so that's how we know it's resistance now. It was previous support here, and after we dropped through this, we started to fall. So we know this is a support zone. Strong support zones, including these here, will be strong resistance levels. So now that we're pushing up into this resistance zone between 29 and 29.50, aka 30, so between 29 and 30, this will be our resistance point. If we break above 30, we can have more upside up to 31, 32. If we start to see it reverse here, then we can see downside potential down to 26 on BAC. So watch that on a major time frame. AMD also mentioned advanced micron devices. We've been trading this to more accurately see a chart. I'm going to go out to the 15-minute here. This is what we've been tracking. We've been tracking the highs here at around 2150, and we've been also have another resistance at 21 that we're butting up against, and we have support at 1950. So again, this is our area of support, and this is our area of resistance. So if we start to push into this 2150 level and get rejected, we can see a pullback down all the way down to $19. If we break up above 2150, 25 here, then we can definitely see a retracement start to go back up. As you can see here, we reflected, we went from this downtrend here where we're starting to, create these, these a downward slope here, and now we're starting to reverse back up in this uptrend that we're starting to see. However, we're starting to hit the ceiling of this uptrend, so it won't surprise me if we see a pullback down to here to test this trend line, and then a bounce up higher. So that's what we should be looking for on AMD as a stock. MSFT already covered. Disney. Disney options aren't incredibly amazing, but again, as I said, because I've covered this recently, it looks like we're going through a turnover here with support at 110. So again, if we break through 110, we have support all the way down to 160. But if we find some support here, then we can break up to new highs of 113, 114. Disney is not my favorite stock to trade, but that's what we can be looking at and expect to see on that as well. That is Disney. We can see some long-term resistance here at 113 and then higher. Disney's not my favorite, but I'm still covering it because you guys asked. PG, Procter & Gamble. Let's see. Again, we have this uptrend here in the beginning of the year. Now we're starting to consolidate around this level here. Let's go into 15 minutes to see some more of an intraday time frame action. It looks like we trade very sideways here, but we're also starting to make a downtrend here. You see we're starting to make these lower highs, which means we're starting to consolidate against the same resistance point. We may see a breakout lower down to 89 or down to this low of 86. But P&G, again, we have news, not news per se, but I think it's the earnings out on that. I could be wrong, but just watch out for that. NVIDIA, Facebook. Facebook looks like we're breaking higher with the market. I would say this is an indecision candle here on the daily. Let's take a look at it. Let's go to the time frame here. Daily. Check it out. Yeah, an indecision candle here on the daily. Pushing up into the resistance point here at around 150. So again, if we see a pullback down to this previous support of 140, that won't surprise us. So maybe a pullback here before we continuation higher. Or we just start to consolidate here on this point and then push higher. But again, Facebook will be highly affected by SPY. So whatever SPY does, if SPY starts to pull back, we'll definitely see Facebook start to pull back as well. AMD already covered that. Netflix, let's look at this. So this one, we already had some consolidation at the previous resistance of 360, probably because of this gap up on earnings. Now, since we filled the gap on earnings, we also have a gap to fill here. And with SPY looking like it's due for a pullback, it won't surprise us if Netflix gets back down to 324, which is the next support, also to fill this gap here. Again, we have a lot of gaps to fill in SPY in Netflix. As you can see, we have a gap here. But I don't think we're going to be falling that much down considering SPY is going up unless SPY decides to totally reverse on us this upcoming year or for this year. But it won't surprise me to see Netflix come down to around 324 before bouncing higher. If not, again, we can always go higher. You have to plan for both sides. SPY already covered BBY, XOM. XOM is Exxon. Not highly liquid on its options, but again, in a red, a hammer, so that means in decision, possibly down, but again, just watch out the market on that. Not my favorite. BBY, also not my favorite. Best Buy, it looks like the same as XOM or Exxon, I think it is. So yeah, just watch for a reversal on those, especially with the market. I'm not covering those much because they're not my favorites to trade, and I don't know much of the patterns on them. Disney, Now, SPY, Netflix. Never heard of Now, but I'm going to cover GS for Jonathan9214 because he's been killing it in the chat, especially on GS. He's been just killing it. So if we look at this, Jonathan, then we can see that our next resistance point that we're looking at least on the long-term time frame, appears to be up near this 208 level. So it won't surprise us if we can see a run up into this 208 level and then a pullback down to the next support here. Looks like we're also having resistance at this point. So again, on a long-term time frame that you're watching, I would watch the levels of 210, 205, 198, and then this level here of 188. So just watch these levels here. If we push into this, we can see a pullback down to here and bounce higher, or we can start to consolidate here and reverse down to around 189 before going higher. But again, there's so many options on GS. I would just make sure that you watch these major levels here, and then as you play them into the 15-minute and daily, you can see that we're running up here. So as you can see, that this 198 level, which we look at on the major time frame, was a resistance point here. But then we broke above, we started to soar. So again, guys, or Jonathan and everyone else trading, watch these major levels here, and these will determine what else is going on GS. Someone mentioned Now. I don't even know what Now is. So when I see a stock that I don't really know, ServiceNow, don't really know what that is, I check the trade tab first to look at the options so that we can look at the options tab. So if we can look at this, the volume here is in the 100s. It looks like it's higher here. I guess it was more put favor on Friday. But this volume is not something I would trade, so I'm just not going to cover the stock just for the sake of people getting stuck in the stock if they want to trade, so I'm not going to do that. Sorry, and I covered the rest already. It looks like NVIDIA, JD, and Fast. Gush, I don't trade Gush. The volume is way too low. If you want to see Gush, that's primarily what Ricky Gutierrez trades and a bunch of those ETFs. Last time I checked, yes, it only has monthly options. It's pushing into the 300. That's cool, but just not enough for me to feel comfortable trading. So I'm not going to cover it. I'm sorry. JD, that should have enough options volume. You see, this is what we want. Even on a monthly, we have up to 26,000 volume and 1,000 volume. That's good. Let's cover JD. JD, which is, don't really know what that is, but it doesn't matter because the options volume is good. Looks like we're on the downtrend chat. We're going down, but we're starting to make these higher lows here. We're starting to bounce off these lows. It looks like we're pushing into this resistance here at around 2430. It looks like we're setting up almost for a triangle pattern here, and now that we're getting closer to these highs, we may see a bounce here and up into the squeeze. Again, if you trade JD, then that's cool, or you can have a breakdown to the downside. That's just what to watch out for. I would look for a pullback coming in on JD, or a push higher into this level and then a pullback, or just break above this level and go higher. That's what I would watch on JD. Netflix, QQQ, and SPY. Not going to cover QQQ really because it's the same thing as SPY, so whatever Q does, the Qs will do. If you can see here exactly what Qs will do. So if you can see here, Qs are starting to pull back, SPY may start to pull back too. Let's see, CMG, that's Chipotle, 8 today, love it. Let's see, we looks like we're super overextended here. Look at these huge green bars that we're pushing up, and now we're starting to roll over into this previous resistance here. You can see that we have a high here and some consolidation at this point. So we know that this is going to be a resistance zone here. So I think after we cross below 500, I know it's not a straight line and it bothers me, but right here, not going to get exactly at 500, but around here at 500. If we drop below here, expect a retracement back all the way down to 400, maybe a long-term put play. Again, if I take that trade, if not, we'll see. The options volume is not always what I want it to be on CMG. It's not the best. You can see here 100, 180. So again, that's not something that I would recommend trading. Amazon, KO. Let's look at KO. I think that's Kroger, if I'm not mistaken. No, what am I saying? Not Kroger. Coke. Again, the volume is not the best, and the pattern is just not there. It looks like it is consolidating with around the same highs and higher lows that it's forming here. This will probably bounce up into this level and push down. It's going to consolidate and then push back down to the low of around $44.50, or push up to the high here. Just watch out for the breakout and watch increased volume. You're going to want volume to be about this high on the chart, because that's where it was on the major breakout levels. But make sure you see the volume start to consolidate down into this triangle. Again, not something I recommend trading on options, but more of the stock. Last one but not least, Amazon. Again, we're just bouncing up higher, but it looks like we're due for a pullback before we push higher. Again, guys, this is Sunday Stock Talk. Tune in tomorrow when we look at the futures and see what the SPY is actually doing.